Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and this week's build here I'm featuring is a car that everybody should be able to recognize. This is a 63 Corvette Stingray Coupe, and a lot of things changed for 63, but not everything. It's kind of surprising, but this is a very well recognized car, and with a lot of neat features and a bunch of new things, but new for production, but not really new because they were seen on different concept cars and race cars that were built and kind of shown. So this thing's got quite a bit of history and a lot of new features and everything for 63. Now, when they designed this thing, one of the biggest controversies, of course, is the split window. Everybody talks about the split window Corvette and how it's got this line going down the back of it. Some people love it, some people hate it. I see both sides of it. To me, it looks kind of quirky, depending on the angle and everything like that. But I love the rare and unique features of it, and the fact that it was a one-year only thing, and that it was such a styling exercise. So I appreciate both sides of it. But I could see why, the same time, why collectors love it, because it's the first year of this body style. It's the truest form of it. And I could see why people hate it, because when this car was new and people were driving it, that's a heck of a blind spot. Those people that bought these cars and were using them new, they drove them every day, or maybe not every day, but a lot of them, they were driven quite a bit. I mean, people didn't buy these and stash them in garages and hide them, or they didn't, they were weekend toys, or, they would race them or have some fun with them. Maybe they weren't exactly a daily driver, but a good chunk of them were driven quite regularly, and having to live through looking through that rear window. I could see that being a pain, and why that a lot of them actually had it cut out and converted to the 64 rear window. Plus, I could see people wanting to update their 63 Corvette to look like the newer model 64. I mean, we get that nowadays with people buy, 1 or 2 year old vehicle and they want to change whatever features to make it look like the newest version. So I see both sides of that, but I can see why collectors love unmodified ones, the original cars being kept original. So I could see that. Some of the other things kind of funny to read about when it comes to the design of this car and some of the weird facts. These vents are non-functional when it came to the production car. They were actually functional originally in the concept car and some of the other stuff, but they found that the engine heat that was coming out of them, they had the vents right here for the interior to suck cool air in. The hot engine air was getting sucked right into those vents. I mean, it was literally leading right into it. So that's one of the reasons why they blocked these off and just made them decorations. But originally, they did work. They worked on a race car. They worked on some of the concept cars, but they quickly found that out, that the engine heat that was coming out of those vents was getting sucked right into the cowl. And even though air conditioning was now available in the 63 Corvettes, most people didn't order them. It was like a $400 something option on a $4,000 car. So AC was now available in the 63. It was not available in the 62 or any of the previous Corvettes. But there's something only like 1% of them got, 1.9, whatever the percentage was. But I think the number was 278 vehicles got AC. So even though AC was available in these cars, people weren't buying it. Kind of the same thing with power steering. The 62 and older cars did not have power steering at all. Power steering was available in this body style, but you just didn't see it. Same kind of thing. You were thinking this car was all new for 63, but it is not. One of the things that I kind of fumble around with is this is considered a C2, but the other ones before it are C1s, and they classify them C1s because of their frame and their solid rear axle. That's kind of the thing that's, mostly new with this one, is the frame was shortened a little bit, lowered down a little bit so you could sit farther into it, and the wheelbase was shortened, but it had that independent rear suspension, which unfortunately this model kit doesn't really depict very well. But it had that independent rear suspension, which was a simplified design, saved some unsprung weight by the pumpkin now doesn't move. It was kind of a 3-link independent rear suspension with a transverse leaf, which made it a little bit lighter. The whole rear setup was basically 100 pounds lighter than the solid rear axle of the 62 and older Corvettes. But the 53 to 62 Corvettes, they were built on the 49 frame, so real old architecture, and nothing was really updated. It was mainly the bodies and some of the engines, and as it developed. By 62, it was quite a different car, but there were three different bodies put on those. So why they're all C1s, I don't get. You go with that logic, the C2 should be the 63 all the way to the 82 until the 83s came out, or 84, I should say. There was no 83s. That's a whole nother story. But also for 63, the first year for the Coupe, which GM was actually marketing and pushing. And when production started, they were making the Coupe only, but the demand for the Roadster was still high. Everybody wanted a Roadster. And the demand was so high on these cars that in St. Louis, where these were being built, GM added a second shift. And by the end of the year, the 63s, they sold a little over 21,000 cars. Even though they started the Roadster production a little bit later than the Coupe, the Roadster still outsold the Coupe, but not by much. By the end of the year, it was roughly 400 more Roadsters were made than Coupes. So even though it was the first year for the Coupe and everybody, there was a lot of demand for it, the Roadster still outsold it. Another interesting fact, now here's something that I read, but I was trying to figure out. These headlight buckets that rotated and everything, they were electric motors, and they were independent of each other, so they, sometimes they weren't timed right, but they flipped around. The first ones were fiberglass. Later cars were aluminum. I couldn't figure out when that was. I guess they had some problems with the fiberglass ones. They started making them out of the aluminum. But these headlights added weight to the car compared to, just a regular setup. But it was a compromise for the look. They really wanted that look. So they developed these headlights. And knockoff wheels were initially available on these cars. And they were shown in all of the brochures. But they had some sealing problems. I guess there was some porosity in the aluminum wheels, and even though it was shown in a lot of the brochures and you see them on the cars today, pretty much all of them came with the hubcaps. Even the Z06 was supposed to get the knockoff wheels, but according to some counts, only 5 cars actually got the knockoff wheels. All the rest of them were done without it, just got the steel wheels and hubcaps. So that's kind of cool, but 64 of the wheels came out on a regular basis, and a lot of people put those 64 wheels on the 63s. So we see them now, but initially in 63, you did not see the knockoff wheels. Another thing about the 63s when it came to the body, it wasn't all new. This whole rear end was exactly what the 61 and 62s look like as far as the taillights go and the body line here. But the top, and of course this is completely different. Now, hardly any of this actually interchanges with a 62. The taillight lenses, I understand, do, but the bezels do not. These bumpers are completely different from a 61 and 62. The biggest giveaway is 61 or 62. They just come around and they stop. They don't have these little hang downs, if you want to call them that. So even though they look the same, they're not interchangeable. License plates done differently. And another thing that I've never understood is, why did the trunk go away? The 62s had trunks, 63 didn't. Now, this Coupe, I can understand why because of that. But when the Roadster came out, why no trunk at all? Now, one thing that comes to my mind is under this was the gas filler, and maybe that is why. Because even the Roadster, the gas filler was in the middle of the back area, but the trunk disappeared. So some of the practicality went away with that. But this thing was a legendary performer. So we'll talk a little bit more about it, and we're going to take this outside and look at it in the sun here. Well, here we are out in the Arizona sun with a 63 Corvette here, Coupe. This 340 horse, 327 4-speed monster here. Although you can't really tell that other than the fender badge right there that it's not a Fuelie. But this ring really sparkles. It's supposed to be Sebring silver, but it's an older build that I had rebuilt. I'm pretty sure I used a German silver metallic from Tester's Model Master line from way back then, as I liked that color and it was pretty easy to spray versus any of the other silvers. I had problems airbrushing at the time, but that was before I went to Scale Finishes paint. That paint seems to airbrush really good, but not quite as sparkly. This one is definitely sparkly, but I like the way it looks here, especially that red interior just really pops. This particular car and these body lines, they look great in this silver. Came in like 7 colors, but I'm not going to paint them all silver. Some of the other colors are a little, normal, black, red, white. Daytona blue I really like. It's a dark blue 63 only color. I think that's the only 63 color is kind of odd compared to 64 and laters. But I really like this, especially the vents and the pure design and the 63 hubcaps on there and those vents on the hood. Even though they're non-functional, they look pretty cool. But just extra weight really don't need to be there, which is why they removed them for 64. But there we go. Let's head on back inside. Alright guys, I bet it looks pretty good in the sun, even though this is an older build of mine. It's actually, probably my original build, I should say. I do have some pictures of how this thing was built originally. It was an 80s car that I painted dark blue because I really like that Daytona blue. And I do want to build another one in Daytona blue, do a Roadster in Daytona blue, as I have a couple of those kits, but I've never built one of those. But this is the AMT kit, as you can see here. And I changed it to Sebring silver right here. I like the silver with the red interior. And, it looks really good, but with the black gauges. One thing that the 63 doesn't really show you in here, it's hard to do, was 63 was the only year that they had the silver centers of the gauges. 64 and laters did not. But you can't really tell that here, and I didn't really paint it very well. I'd probably try and replicate that better on the Roadster, especially since you can see more of that in the Roadster. But, when it comes to the rest of this, and this car, I do plan to build a Z06 as well, and I want to do it from this AMT kit, but I haven't decided exactly how I want to do it. If I want to do it with the bare steel wheels, which is how most of them came, or if I want to do it with the knockoffs, what color I want to do it in. I'm not trying to replicate any particular car, but since the Z06 package originally came with the fuel injection motor, the 4-speed, and it originally came with the big tanker option, the centered metallic brakes with the air ducts, the stronger suspension with the heavy-duty shocks and springs, and it also was supposed to come with the knockoff wheels. But somewhere in the Z06 production line, they decided to make it cheaper by making the big tank option now an extra option, and they separated it from the Z06. And of course the knockoff wheels were not available either. So they lowered the price of the Z06, which is why there was 199 Z06s made in 63. But only 64 of them actually got the big tank. And then the 64 and later cars, the big tank was still an option, even though the Z06 package was not. You can build a Z06 in 64, but it wasn't all in one package. So, I got some plans to do on that one. But this one, here's some pictures of my original AMT build. When I did in blue, had the knockoff wheels, and the interior was black, if I remember right. But I built that in the 80s. This is that same kit, and I stripped it and redid it because, I was doing that to some of my old builds back then. And this one got bare metal foil, airbrushed in silver. Don't know what silver actually used. I'm pretty sure it's Tester's Model Master in a jar, and I believe it was German silver metallic. I think that's what I actually used, but I don't have it written down for sure. I did switch the wheels over to the hubcaps out of the Roadster kit. I did switch that from the Prestige kit, so I did update that and add this mirror. The kit didn't have the mirror. Now I didn't build this one as a fuel injected motor. I did put it as that one right there. I had trouble originally with the fuel injection parts, but I decided that I was going to build the other one as a fuel injected. So I decided to build this one as like the 340 horse 4-barrel carbureted motor. So I did it that way. The higher horsepower ones got the aluminum valve covers. The lower horsepower ones got the stamped steel valve covers. Oh, that's one thing that wasn't all new for the 63 Corvettes. Was the powertrains. They were the exact same motors available in 62. You had the 327 came out in 62, so all of the motors were 327s in 62. The base motor was 250 horsepower. Next up was a 300 horsepower, and that's the one made the most torque out of 360 foot-pounds of torque, or at least rating-wise. Then you had the 340 horse four-barrel, which is what I'm trying to replicate here. That one made a little bit less torque, but it was rated a little bit higher rating, so that kind of misleading anyway. And then the fuel-injected motor, making 360 horsepower and 353 foot-pounds of torque is what it was rated at. So it was real close in torque on a fuelie motor. So this one I will replicate it as not being a fuelie. And I enjoy building it, and you know, this car, I think it's one of the reasons why I didn't really do the video on this, because there's so much history and so much info and trivia on this 63 that I wasn't sure how much I was going to throw into the video. You know, same kind of things going here, and I know I'm skipping some of the facts and some of the, you know, unusual options too, but some of them just really stuck out to me. Like they made the door openings really high for the tall people to get in and out of. They did make it a bit more luxurious and easier car to drive by adding power steering and air conditioning, although both those options are pretty rare. Both those were not available in any of the 62 or older Corvettes. It got a little bit smaller, the wheelbase got a little bit smaller, a little bit lower, a little bit shorter, which I always thought this car was a little bit bigger than the 62s. But, you know, personally, I don't think I've ever seen them side by side. This one being lower, it looks bigger and wider, but the fact that it's lower probably has a lot to do with it. So in scale, it may sometimes appear a little bit bigger, especially the Revell monogram ones. The 67s appear a little bit bigger and wider in the front. So I think they look a little bit goofy, but I got some of those. And that 67 is literally my favorite of these C2 Corvettes. Love that Stinger hood, the 427 tri-power and the side pipes and the rally wheels. I just like that look. But the 63s and, you know, all of these Stingrays, they just look great. Oh, and Stingray is 2 words on these, by the way. I don't remember if I mentioned that or not. Another piece of trivia. But anyways, we'll continue building on, and I hope you enjoyed this episode where I went over some of this stuff. And this, even though this isn't an original annual, it's one of the later ones, the reissues. But you guys, thanks for tuning in, subscribing, and all your comments and everything. I really do appreciate it. You guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.